They call it music. 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 They call it music.
Welcome to another special edition of the thing called Double Rock. We talking pure, raw, uncut, unadulterated Junkanoo news, my boy. We here today to give you the best in Junkanoo news. You see, you're surely top class and host today, and my co-host today,
The Charmaine Roll.
we come to give you the best, my boss. We judgment. We can rattle some cages today. We can boys couple drum today. After couple rocks, so you know. Get your mind together, get your heart ready, and get your cool drinks, because this one can be nice. Let's roll. Right? Today we coming today, we want to talk a little bit of everything, but we really want to concentrate on what's going on with rules. We get a couple questions we ask. We ask if the rules heighten Junkanoo, if it heighten creativity, if some of them need to move, quite frankly. We shall main roll.
Boy, this deep today. This can cut plenty people.
Yeah.
More banded.
Because, right, I get a lot of things I want to say, but, right, we can rattle, we can get in there. But first of all, see, the first problem we get in Junkanoo is for the people who know the rules.
Exactly. Like we spoke about earlier before we came on air. How would you know the act if you don't have any control of it? And the most important thing is Bahamians don't like to read, but we need something to control us and to keep us in line.
Yeah.
And so, you know, every year the JCNP disseminates the rules. Actually, they every year it seems like the rule changes or tweaks a bit.
Tweak a little bit.
A little bit. And so, you know, it is utmost important. One of the reasons why I really went into the media end of it, let me just share that with you guys.
Okay.
You know, as being one of the former deputy chairman, the responsibility for the judges, which came under the rules.
Yeah.
And I noticed, like, after I came out of that, the public was not quite aware of what the rules were. You always have this, oh, they rob us this or they rob us that. But you have to have some guidelines to go by when you're judging these things. And so even the participants didn't know the rules. So my whole idea was to, you know,
educate
them and let them know, listen, this is what is expected. And so when you see certain things, you know, you're getting all riled up about it, but then you don't know what is expected. Even persons, like I said, who are Russian don't know what is expected. Now, I know every year there are persons who go into these meetings and, you know, they have representatives and they're supposed to send them out with the rules.
Charmaine, I can be real with you, boy. I been in the Junkanoo trenches, boss. And half of the time, the rules don't get disseminated straight down the line.
But we know that. We know that.
Right, man? So half of the Junkanooers, them, ain't no rules. All they do is what they was told to do.
But told to do by whom?
Oh, I guess the people who are
but the people
ahead of them. And most of the time, the people who ahead of them don't know the rules.
Okay, so here is
so we call the blind leading the blind.
Yeah, that too. Now, the rules is a lot of writing. You know, one time ago we said, listen, let's introduce and put these on the shack walls. And especially pull out certain things that you know time is important.
Yeah.
Not only time, getting the parade is important. So what we did one year, you know, we put out a flyer we pulled out specific areas like, okay, we know even if you coming out 5th, you be there 12 o'clock. You coming out 6, you be there 12 o'clock. You know it ain't gonna happen, but then you have that in your mind.
You ain't know. Coming.
Exactly. That was one of the rules that we tried to put in place to let them know, listen, you gotta be there at a certain time, and then if you early, then you prepare for things happen. Suppose you get a blockage, a costume breakdown, a certain thing, and you there early so you can make the adjustments. Okay? Timing, not only timing to get there, you have to make your way there to make sure you have police escort. All these different things have to happen for you to get to Bay Street. Another timing is you have to know, every group member should know how much time it takes you from the starting line to the finish line. Herein, you know who's the most important person that day on the parade?
The Grand Marshal.
The marshals. Not even the grand marshals. The marshals control the flow of the parade.
Half of them must be watching the parade.
No, but half of them ain't never get no tools or nothing either. I know what you're coming on Great Street for, and I bring down and you can't hook me up. Well, you come in and jump up and down.
The marshal, when he come in, the judgment enjoy the show, man. They get marshal west to watch Junkanoo, man, not the judgment wake Junkanoo.
Well, that too. But then, like we say, the rules is important, so even the marshals need to know the rules. And each group should have a marshal for a certain section in the rules to know, well, listen, you ain't doing this, or you ain't doing this, or that's how we supposed to go.
That's the point. So they all break down to group judgment organizing skill.
Yes.
So all it is if you get, how much marshal they allow now? What, 20, 25?
20? Last time I know it was I think it was 35. I think 35. They increased.
Okay, so now say you break up your marshals in group. I get you 5 marshals. I get you in charge of the back line from brass go back, right? Them 5 marshals should know all the rules regarding the back line.
Correct.
They should be knowledgeable in that, and with the time it can take for them to get crossed. So they need to know the time. So when they go in the back,
you have a marshal for timing now. Marshal for timing different from the section.
When they go in the back line, they gonna say, look here, drummers allowed, all drummers allowed to wear color group T-shirt, same color, boom boom ray. This supposed to be paste this amount of paste. If they're saying that, a marshal supposed to say, boss, you ain't meet the criteria, step on the side.
But you know what is most important too, before we get to that? The eligibility part. So I feel each marshal, if they have a section for each marshal, you're supposed to know your count.
You're supposed to know your count.
You know, front line supposed to know what you have. Brass supposed to
have what? 12. You got 12.
Well,
12
you gotta have
girls.
Plus. But you gotta have 201. So each marshal should have a count for their section. So as time as each one of them meet, you could do your calculations. Say, boy, we got our number.
We over 200.
Right, we got our number. And so I don't know if they're effective in doing it, but I noticed the parades is just gone. Saxons had the most effective marshals that I've ever seen on Bay Street.
Yeah.
They took over from the Valley.
They was ticking.
They was ticking. It's like they had a chain around the entire group. Wow. You could tell from the shirts.
Yeah,
the neon shirts, you could see the line.
You see the line.
You could
They lock it in.
They lock it in. And I said, wow, this was effective, because even if you was on the side as us, the media person, we couldn't get in there to get certain videos or certain pictures because they lock you out. So I must give it up to them. They had some pretty good marshals now. Like we say, with the rules itself, each marshal should know for their section. You have front line, you have choreograph, you have brass. Okay, you have off the shoulders, you have free dancers now, leads. And then you have leads. So every particular group should have a marshal for that section. And know the rules. Because listen, even with these rules, with these big costumes, you got to make sure, measure that out before they come to Bay Street to make sure you meeting the rules for that to come down Bay Street, or even the height.
Because they have the box on the floor, eh?
You have to fit in that box, right? And then
you got to be a certain height.
Okay, because you see how it is on Bay Street with the lighting and the decorations. You got to make sure you pass through that too. Because I remember when I did some interviews with Sean from Genesis, one of the questions I asked Sean, and when I went to do his interview, I said, boy, this big, eh? I said, you do your measure? He said, yes, boy, Sean, I do that. And when I saw that box, I think it was New Year's, he bought out that big costume with the shark, the fish. I was like, wow. I say, boy, looking at the shop, I would have never think this would have fit on Bay Street. But that's one of the rules they have to do. Go there, do their measurements to make sure. And see, things like this, people don't know. People don't understand the logistics of it. They had to go there and make sure, listen,
you
that
gotta
was
go there,
inside.
you measuring tape, you gotta know where the smallest points, because when you reach certain area, you can't turn. When you reach there by Elizabeth Avenue and Shirley Street, that low wire come across. I learned that. We used to send people on there with measuring tape.
To make sure that they meet that. And see, that's all of these things come in underneath the rules. And so it's like we spoke to the point earlier. Maybe we should put the rules in video form, like you say.
I think that probably be the best thing is get the rule in video and audio form, because we as payments, you get a lot of payments don't like read, man. They ain't like read. And with this new, what they call it, Gen Z, Gen X, whatever they call it, they in the video, they in the TikTok, Instagram. You make short film, 30-second video, each rule.
Yeah.
You know
but see, it probably be a little bit longer. Yeah.
Right.
Example.
But now you remember now, their attention span is long, boss. I can
1
be
minute.
real. 1 minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 minute. You know they want to bang and they want to bang fast. So you get a quick video, bang, and it gotta be exciting. You can't just have somebody sitting up there. Well, the rules, so that ain't gonna work.
No, it ain't gonna work.
You know.
And the rules now is 100 and something pages. So you see what I mean? Like when you have to really break that down to the different sections and
it is
You
summarized.
see this nice pasted shirt you have here? That's one of the things we have to talk about in the rules.
That's the one rule I want to talk about this morning first.
Well, let's get into that rule because what is pasting?
In the rules, I think it's a paper just cut. Now, I don't think it says
No, it don't
French.
say that. No, it don't say. It says anything laid or cut, laid down on a surface, whether it's fringe, it's sponge, it's a leaf, it's a toilet tissue, it's newspaper, any material laid there. Now, let me ask you this question, and this is my perspective. This is just my perspective. You think you coming to me for me to judge you, right? You laying something down on the paper, right? Look, I could tell from how this space it here, this took time and effort. So when you rushing, just throwing something down on bond, I supposed to give you 100 and give you 100.
No,
so you have to.
And that's where we go. That's where it goes when the judges now that leave it for the interpretation of the judges.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? Because the rule don't clearly define.
That's it.
The rules don't clearly define
French.
Yeah,
but see, that's when it comes to you as a Junkanoo or as a person in preserving this thing to take it forward. Are you giving me points for easy work? Are you giving me points?
See, and that's why we need to change the rule in that aspect, in that rule, because that rule should say, laid French paper, not cut any material. French crepe paper, you know, because those cut no tennis ball, cut no chart paper, and then a lot of judges look at it and it look pretty, but they don't
to the bottom. But what happened to the top of the glass?
No, it look pretty because when they see the colors of the chart paper and thing, oh, that's pretty, and the little decoration around that, that's pretty. But I should always tell myself, look at a costume. Imagine looking at a costume without tricks. See what you get. Take away the tricks from the costume and see what that costume look like. See, like the shape. If I put tricks on the shape right now, this will judgment destroy the shape. Because the tricks can hide all the detail working inside it. You see what I'm saying? And so that rule there need to be defined and cut out. Don't tell the people just cut. Because the judges only going by what the rules say.
Exactly.
So even though I put in a lot of work in pasting and fringing, the person come with craft and slap some chart paper and that look good. The judges say, boy, that look good, that look better than this. This ain't got no decoration. So they only looking at what rule presented to them to judge me. So they need to change that rule in order for the judges to judge correctly. You see what I'm saying? Because you ain't give judges right now, you ain't giving points for creativity.
Exactly. Now,
You ain't
see,
giving points for
another thing
creativity.
too, when we talk about the pasting in terms of decoration versus pasting, okay, it says so many, 25%,
Decorating,
75%.
face.
Okay, so if that's like you say, you can mess this up, right?
Yeah.
So you can imagine fellas coming out now, women or whoever, and these costumes and things, and you can't
See the paper.
one piece of paper. I mean, like Sergeant said, 800 million decorations.
I tell them they buy some with stones. They buy some
But they
with stones.
think that's pretty.
No, boss. Wait, look here. It's cheaper you paint if you're going to do that.
I never thought about it like that.
Cheaper you paint if you're going to do that. Because ain't no way you spend plenty time pasting something and you're going to fill it up with decoration to hide all the work you spend on. Most of the time, the decoration you put on ain't paste. You put that much decoration on that so you ain't pasting that.
So how you feel with the rules being the 25% decoration and the 75% pasting? Now, I think in Junkanoo today, that only applies to lead piece or
Off the
step
shoulder,
step down. Yeah, that don't apply to the.
I shouldn't. No, man.
You see what I mean?
Man, see,
Because
man.
even half of the time, right? In them off the shoulders and stuff, you got to be really looking or going up there to feel it or to see if the pace is now.
Like those say we pacing down low and everything up high get judgment.
Tennis ball.
See, and that's why prejudging was so.
Important. Yeah, that was important.
But they take it out, boy.
But guess what? You know how much that would add to it, and let me tell you why. I remember back in the day, one of the things that I always put in place was simulations for the judges when you rush in, because we used to ask people to come in, rush, I used to put them in zones. Take for the inference, say we at Shirley Street Theater parking lot.
Yeah.
So I used to put them in different sections, and I used to ask the person, listen, I want you to rush through, and then I used to tell the persons who prospective judges, I need you to judge whilst they passing you. Now, on Bay Street, a costume passes you so quickly.
And they moving, so you
And
ain't
they
got no time
moving.
to touch nothing.
You don't have no time to touch nothing. You don't have to. You don't have no time to feel it.
Like
You
they
have to
say, keep moving.
keep
The judge is
moving.
saying, no, just keep moving.
Keep moving. And so, parents, if you have prejudging, okay, the first part of the prejudging, I think, should be able to tell the visual effect, okay,
Yeah.
the vertical line, the horizontal lines, to tell the structuring and all that. Then the second part should be the mobility.
Mobility. That's
Okay,
what,
and
that's
the
what you get in
performance.
Bay Street for. Most of your points now, most of your points come from prejudging, and now
Yes.
the rest of your points come from how you
Mobility
move.
and performance.
That's it.
And see, I think it does an injustice and in service to
People who
persons.
putting in hard,
Yes, months
detailed
and
work,
months
boy.
and months.
For me to come
away.
up there with paint and chart paper and knock somebody head off.
Yeah,
put me
but
in the shop
but
with
but
nice
for you
time.
to pass me in 5 minutes and I judging you on 5 minutes passing me.
Nah, boy.
So I think we need
They need to bring
Good
up
enough for it.
prejudging.
back. Yeah, I think that needs to be
off the shoulder, step down, lead costume.
lead costume. And
They
you
need
see,
to bring 'em
you
back.
see these step down now. Then lead they the
They
same.
decide to lead.
They
They
decide
don't
to-
take lead out.
They soon take might as well.
Because if you get stepped down that big, keep you take the lead out.
Yeah, as you could see what happened in the last two parades. You understand? And like I say, the costume goes by you so quickly
Yeah.
that you don't have
got-
chance to. If you don't have that synopsis, sometimes you don't know what's going on. You got to you got to read that before it reaches you, so you could have an idea of what you're looking for.
What you look. Mm-hmm.
And see that's one of the rules too. I guess as Junkanooers, we need to look into, especially with those major pieces with thousands and thousands of dollars have to be put into.
Because every injustice, but I spend all this time in the shop, and somebody who ain't spend no time just Half of the time they paint up some pieces on the costume.
But you could tell if you as a judge.
Anything over 8 feet, what you can't touch? Paint and craft and all these different chart and what do you call it, tennis ball and all these different things. You know what I mean?
But it only take a real Junkanoo who have the eye for it to see that.
To pick it
And
out.
see, that's another thing I have too, even with the rules with the judging. You cannot have a gardener who just started gardening come to cut your grass and expect it to be
Pristine.
pristine. Okay, even like in
Yeah.
a rookie, like say in a
Yeah.
baseball, he only becomes good as he continuously do it.
Yeah.
You can't just keep bringing.
And here goes now the turnover judges.
Well, we ain't gonna talk about that one right now.
Yeah, because
'Cause that's a whole subject for another day.
That too affects what's going on.
Yeah, because guess what?
Because-
I call them the guardians. The decisions they make propel it forward
Yeah.
or clears it backwards.
Backwards.
And guess what? Like one time, before Heads was on Bay Street, I think the Valley Boys is the first set to bring the Heads, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that wasn't a part of it then.
Yeah.
But because they won with it the next year,
Yeah.
everybody bring
get
Heads.
the heads.
Okay?
So now if everybody play, if you win with all kind of cloth, then what gonna happen?
Next year, everybody bring the cloth.
See, that's the next rule you gotta get into now. I remember one time ago, boys, it's almost like taboo to have cloth. Only people that cloth was, but I remember even drummers never used to have cloth.
No.
They changed the rules to drummer, which only makes sense.
Yeah, because with the fire, if they do the drums and stuff.
And judgment mobility.
Right.
You got pay shaking, you trying to beat and thing, you know, because it ain't that comfortable. So I mind like the drummers, yeah, you put the drummers in a T-shape, bam. But now I see whole sections, boss. I see Junkanoo gone, parades gone, whole sections and cloth, front line, off the shoulders. All these people get on cloth.
And a person with cloth supposed to have a number, you know.
Oh, that's the only person supposed to have cloth
That's
on.
the only person supposed to have a
Them
cloth.
and
And it's supposed to be, I
choreograph
think it's
could
5
wear-
points. I think it's supposed to be 5
5
points.
points per
Penalty.
person.
Yeah, per person.
And only other people could wear cloth is people with cloth number.
Right.
Choreograph could wear what tights, leotard, whatever.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, ray.
Yeah, but then remember
drummers,
now, a portion of their costume still supposed to be pasted.
yeah, I mean their undergarments.
The undergarments.
Their undergarments
But their
could be cloth, but their
costume
costume is supposed to be
pasted.
pasted.
But see, again, the rule says anything laid to paper. Okay?
See,
We
that's-
come right back to that.
So, and that's why I tell you that one rule there need to be revised. That one rule, because that changed the whole perspective, the outlook, the whole everything. That even changed Junkanoo. That one rule.
That one rule.
That one rule changed Junkanoo. It changed from Junkanoo being a 10-tick, which is nice great paper, booger. So what these class as modern and upgrade.
But
and
see, you
evolution.
don't want evolve enough that you evolve Junkanoo out of existence.
And that's what happening. Because if you take this away from Junkanoo now, you basically get Carnival.
Yeah.
If you take
Because-
Paston away from Junkanoo, you get basically Carnival.
Yeah, because right now you get 1 million trillion fairness on everything.
You basically get Carnival. If you take Paston out of Junkanoo, you basically get Carnival. I don't care how you beat around the bush and say what you want to say. If you take Paston out of Junkanoo, you get Carnival.
Well, see, it came about, even like we talk about with choreograph section, it used to be 12 or more girls.
Yeah.
This choreograph section now, each section having 20 and 30 girls.
Yeah.
Okay?
20 and 30 girls per section.
Per section,
They
right?
get about 2 or 3 sections.
Okay, now, the rule says 60%, okay, pasting, 40%
Lord.
choreograph.
Yeah.
No, the steps.
Or the steps.
The
Oh,
steps.
yeah, the steps.
Okay, so therein as, we had some, one group saying, okay, well, they didn't win or they don't think the other group win, but then you were not seeing no 6, 7, 8 counts. You were not seeing lines formation.
Formations.
Okay? You look good, but if you ain't performing, and then I see some other groups, they look good, but you ain't perform. You have to have that drive to win.
Yeah.
Even I always say like a choreographed section should always act like they're in a pageant. Okay? You on the main stage. You want to get into character. You want to see that smile because you don't know who's watching you or
Yeah,
who's
no.
taking your picture.
Yep.
Okay? The whole thing about Junkanoo is Junkanoo is supposed to tell you a story from beginning to
But
end.
again,
It's supposed to be
that's what it
able-
is. That's what it is.
That's what it is. But it's
It's
supposed
basically a live show.
theater performance.
A live theater show.
Okay, and then a child should be able to understand it. 5, 6 years old, up to a 90-year-old person supposed to be understand what
And
they're
that's-
seeing in the front
and
of
that's
them.
what I've been telling people with music. Boss, if I know your music in the first 4 bars, boss, you ain't looking good. I supposed to understand what song you playing in the first 4 to 8 bars.
Well, see, again, the rules doesn't define even with music, even with the different sections. A group feel like they can't come to Bay Street unless they have a brass
Brass.
section.
Do the rules say you have to have a brass?
No, you could win without
Or the road brass?
a brass. A brass is in
A criteria for
it,
for
but
the
then
parade.
you know how that bragging right goes
Yeah.
with Junkanoo was when you win music, you win the parade. They only
Yeah.
have they come 5th or 6th if they win
That's
music.
it. That's it.
Like you say, they judgment win the
The
parade.
red.
I right or wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how they feel. That's how
And
they
see,
feel.
not only that, even with the rules section when it comes to how they're costumed. How are they going to perform in their costumes? Are they pasted? Do they have on a hat? Do they have on a shoulder piece? Do they have on a skirt? Are they are footing? And I must give it to some of the groups too. They've really been, when I say section off properly, where their hat, their undergarments, their footwear, everything coincided.
The whole ensemble.
Yes, the whole ensemble. So you could imagine that.
Yeah. Hey, and
Excuse me.
and it look good when you get from head to toe, everything complete. Everything complete, boy.
And see, that's the element of surprise that a lot of groups been using this time in the past, I see 2 to 3 years.
Yes.
Now all the groups are picking it up,
Yeah.
making sure that they're formal from head to toe with
So-
every single section, especially with the undergarments.
Yeah. Yeah, because wait, I can be able to do cloth. When you wear cloth on their costume, it takes away from your costume.
Okay, we talking about which section now?
I talking about on the whole, you get off the shoulder, free dance, naked dance. I ain't talking about the choreograph.
Right, right,
and the
'cause they
drummers.
already-
I
right.
talking about the other people.
People, right.
You know, ain't nothing like when you see a costume and your undergarment paste to match and blend in with your costume. That just looks so good. When you
But
get
see-
somebody there with one little t-shirt on and one little one little
Tights.
basketball pants. And,
Oh no. See that right there? That's cloth. That's what cloth. That right there could cost you a parade. That
Hey,
right
boy.
there could cost you a parade. You know these parades winning by
But
0.5 and 0.2
you know the jokey part is? Marshals are scared to address certain people in certain groups.
So when they lose, then that on them.
You see? See, ma, one time I tell the dude, boss, dude come to dead shabby, boss. I tell the dude, no, boss. Go back, go to back.
Well, I hear your former leader Gus Cooper is the tell you can't even line up if you ain't.
Why saw the man Gus used to stand by the gate and line up, boss? Boss, you can't pass him. Who you is? Ain't care who you is. You could be Sonny, ain't care. Boss, if you ain't right, you ain't getting on the boulevard. No, boss. And he judgment bring everybody up. He bring everybody up. The whole group come up until the time for him to set in. Everybody come up until the back line reach where he can be.
Right.
He watch everybody go in until the back line reach out.
And see that things like that is what gives you win, because you have certain rules that you put in place,
Yeah.
and then another thing with that is, in any Junkanoo group, even when it comes to the rules and stuff, you have to have that sternness, you have to have that consistency, and you have to have people who are going to understand you and follow you when you put certain stipulations in place.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, discipline.
Discipline, boss. A lot of groups lose in discipline now. A lot of groups lose in discipline. And when you lose discipline, you lose.
You lose a parade.
And not only the parade, you lose your identity.
That too.
what you stand for, you know. So that's how a lot of them fall in the shoe now. They ain't what it used to be.
You know why? Because I think the youths of today think more of Junkanoo as microwavable.
I tell those they believe Junkanoo. I call this microwave Junkanoo now.
Yeah, that's what it is.
They want instant costume. They want instant this, instant that.
Because I see fellas now be pacing 7 days out from the parade. And that's when the banning come
They
down.
ain't pacing. Don't say they pacing
Not
7
pacing.
days out.
What-
They
what?
cutting paper.
Right, okay.
Don't say they pacing because they ain't pacing. They cutting paper. They drawing out the whole pattern. Because glue don't hardly get used no more. Or spray glue. Everybody, spray glue is run out now. Everybody, all you say,
That's it. And they got this,
Pop.
what they call the machine, sheep machine, what they cutting the paper with?
yeah, sheep machine. I hear them talking with the sheep shears or something.
sheep shares. This is just another new thing that's
Hey,
been-
look, you remember
See,
when the pink and
short-
chairs come through?
Yeah.
I saw ain't that, right? I saw ain't that. That is look like Junior Junkanoo. Pink and chairs look like Junior Junkanoo.
Well, if we don't put in place the rules, like you say, which is the most like like you say, that is the most important rule. That
Yeah,
same
that's
pace
same
thing.
one now.
That same pace thing, you know.
That's the most
Because from
important
front to back, think of the lineup of a parade from front to back, and in your mind, and see how much pace in that you picture today.
You look at all your pictures you took from Junkanoo, and then you could analyze how much pacing going
Well,
on.
listen. I even ain't got to look at the pictures because what happens is, and you guys know about it too, in the media world, you then know the whole setup of a group where everybody's being all when you taping.
Yeah.
So you know when they missing,
Yeah.
because you know, okay, but this person ain't there. Or you know what they expect of their costume. Man, listen, you're shabby this morning, man.
Yeah.
What's going on, man? What
What's
happened?
going on, yeah?
You understand? You know. You know. And so you know if they rush it or if they take their time. And see, like we say in the jungle world, you can't get Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
So some of them rather not get Jeff and just come looking shabby and know that. And then when
No
they,
pride.
But listen, when
No
they see the
pride.
camera, they running from you, you
Yeah,
know.
no pride, no pride, no pride.
They running from you.
Yeah.
So how do you feel the public putting inputs when it comes to the rules?
I mean, certain people in the public, they have an eye for Junkanoo, so some of them know what really missing. Like sometimes you in the game, but you can't see the game.
You know it's too close to the fire.
Yeah, so sometimes you just gotta seek
Ease off.
outside.
Right.
You just gotta seek outside advice sometimes to get some things right, you know. Because even though you in there, you can't see your faults.
No, because you know it's too close to the
Yeah.
fire.
So sometimes fans probably can help you.
I think that, and another thing too, when we come to we talk about professionals judging Junkanoo with giving the rules, right? I've seen professionals give 100 out the gate. So I don't think it's all about being professional, you know. You just have to know the rules, know Junkanoo, and understand what you're looking for. It's not about being professional, you know.
Yeah. You just gotta know. Yeah,
You-
like you say, you gotta know the rules.
You
and
gotta
what
know
you
the
look
rules
for.
and know what you're looking for. And like we say again, a rookie just can't do it. It ain't just coming out there and cutting the grass one week and think you
because
get better.
that was one of my things. Is like, because I coming out first, you judging me different. Why you ain't judging me on the criteria for judging? You know what I mean?
Well, I know.
So if I might be the best thing on Bay Street, but I ain't getting the best thing on Bay Street because I come out number one.
No, well, see, in anything, and I always tell myself too, and back in the day we used to talk about this, you have to set a bar. You have to set a bar. Anything coming out first, because you can do injustice to the first person who coming out the gate.
Right, yeah.
You got to set a bar.
Bar.
Now, your bar, let's say if my bar is, say, I used to be harsh. My bar used to be 65, 70.
Yeah.
So you got to go up or you're
gotta
going
go
down.
down.
Okay, and then you have your little extra piece of paper on the side before you transfer your stuff to your real thing. And you know
Yeah.
they're doing tablets now. You
Yeah.
still have your paper and
Paper
stuff.
stuff.
So you could, as you go,
yeah,
you could know what you then write or
Right,
write before. You
before.
have that there in your mind to say, well, listen, I give these said so much and what I think and da-da-da-da-da. So even though you didn't put it in, you still have that there to be able to tell you, listen, that one wasn't better than this one. I think they fall down here or they pull up their socks there. So
No.
you have to set a bar because that's why nobody like to pick number one.
Yeah. Because they feel like
They don't feel like they're being judged fairly. But I know groups come out number one before and win, you know.
Yeah, they win. Yeah, groups come out and win over number
But
one.
they ain't being done that much.
No.
But they win. But that's why, and sometimes 7 is not a good number either.
Oh, no.
6 and 7, people is be,
They
ain't no good numbers.
They ain't good numbers. I tell those good numbers is 3, 4,
3, 4, and 5.
3, 4, and 5 is
That's
the best
it.
numbers.
3, 4, and 5.
They're the best numbers, 3, 4, and 5.
You see? And the rules go for everybody from 1 to 7. I know one year, God rest his soul, Charles Maynard. I think it was, it rained
Uh-huh.
that particular year. One family had already gone past. Roots came past, and it rained when Roots was performing.
Yeah.
All the judges were underneath the bleachers because we had given them coats and everything. And, you know, they were saying it was only going to be one lap. I'll never forget that year. And Minister Maynard called me. He said, you know, Charmaine, tell me how you feel about not all of the groups. I mean, they did the one lap. Tell me how you feel about it. I say, well, let me tell you. This is my perspective on it. 3 groups were judged in fair elements.
Yeah.
The other 4 were not.
Not.
So I said, I don't think this parade should be called on that because they were not judging the same element.
Yeah.
I saw at that particular time, Roots was performing, the girls were sliding across the road.
Yeah, because
In the water.
Yeah, because you know grip.
It was no grip, no nothing like that. The 3 groups going forward, they had no problem in performing. So I think it was done injustice to the other
groups.
Right. But a particular group was already in the lead
Yeah.
at that time. And they said, this one lap got to count. You know, they had to take the vote. What happened, right?
Yeah.
They still call it.
Yeah.
But I think that particular year, everything should have just been split on everybody. Because it was not fair to the other 4 who came. And you can imagine the other 4 who came, the costumes time they reached the first lap, everything running.
Yeah,
all the colors,
running.
everything.
Everything.
Nothing.
You done wear up.
You done wear up. Girls, makeup draining,
Yeah,
the costume do. You can't even perform.
Watch your step so you don't fall down.
Exactly.
All that thing. So you ain't get the performance
But
you're supposed to
then,
get.
the rule says that everything should be done on the first lap. And it didn't factor in, the rules didn't factor in there, the weather conditions. So you see why we have to really...
See why you got to amend some things.
That's why amendments have to be made, because it does injustice to one, and some get the pure justice done to the other ones. Yeah. And so as you go and you amend these things, then it makes a difference.
But anyway, we got to wrap up this segment, because we got to come back with another segment, because we ain't finished.
What?
We ain't finished, but it's coming in deep. So, that's only part 1. We coming back with part 2, cause we got to slam some other little stuff inside here. Cause like I say, boy, this a deep topic. We can talk for this for a couple of weeks. You know what I mean?
Weeks.
Yeah. So, on behalf of myself, aka Top Class, my producer, Mr. Saz, my co-host today.
We Charmaine Roll.
Yeah, we just watch another exciting thing called Double Rock, boy. We had a rock here wide open. You know what I mean?
Who's
so,
this?
Huh? Listen to me. My drum net boys all that double rock I bang in there. Boom, 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 boom. We out here. Out.
Nedlet Productions.